You were told that humans had unusual biology. You didn't understand how different until your new crew member downed the galaxy's strongest poison and muttered, "Man, I was so thirsty." Captain's log, Galactic Standard Date 3442.7. The UGF Starsong has officially onboarded its first human crew member. Central Command's initiative to integrate this newly discovered species into our ranks has been met with mixed reactions from my crew. I closed my personal log and sighed, watching from the command deck as our newest addition toured the propulsion systems with Chief Engineer Skvari. The human, Lieutenant Jackson, seemed pleasant enough, if unnervingly tall and alarmingly quick in his movements. The mandatory xenobiology briefing had prepared us for human physical characteristics, but reading reports and experiencing their presence were entirely different matters. Captain Trellix, my first officer Klon approached, mandibles twitching nervously. The human wishes to join the crew gathering in the recreation chamber after his shift. Should I make accommodations? What sort of accommodations? Well, Klon's eye stalk swiveled uncomfortably. The briefing mentioned humans require constant hydration. And their consumption preferences are concerning. I waved a dismissive appendage. They're omnivores, Klon. We've hosted Verzilian carnivores before without incident. It's not their diet that concerns me, Captain. It's their recreational consumption of toxins. I had forgotten that detail from the briefing. Humans apparently deliberately ingested mild poisons for pleasure, alcohol, caffeine, capsaicin. Bizarre behavior, but harmless enough. Make sure the synthesizer has appropriate human refreshments programmed, I instructed. Otherwise, treat Lieutenant Jackson like any other crew member. Klon's chromatophores flashed with reluctant acknowledgement before he departed. Several hours later, I entered the recreation chamber to find most of my senior staff engaged in animated conversation with our new human. Jackson was gesturing enthusiastically, describing something called baseball while my officers watched with polite confusion. "Captain," he called, spotting me. "Join us." I was just explaining the cultural significance of the designated hitter rule. I settled onto a rest cushion, noting that Jackson had already established easy rapport with my crew. Perhaps Central Command's integration initiative would succeed after all. "Lieutenant, are you finding your accommodations satisfactory?" I asked. "Absolutely, though the gravity's a bit light. Great for jumping, though." He demonstrated with a small hop that sent him nearly a meter into the air, causing several of my more timid officers to skitter backward. "And the atmospheric mix? Bit oxygen-rich for my taste, but your synthesizer whipped up something to help with that." He gestured to a container of brown liquid. "Coffee. Not as good as the real thing, but it'll do." Klon leaned toward me. "The human has already consumed 3 servings of that stimulant," he whispered. "Their cardiac activity has increased by 22%, yet they show no signs of distress." Before I could respond, the chamber door slid open to admit Dr. Vexil, our Pronaxian medical officer, carrying a sealed container marked with hazard symbols. "Captain, we have an emergency," she announced. "The Skothian ambassador left this ceremonial flask of Toxel in the medical bay. It must be secured immediately." My inner membranes contracted with alarm. Toxel was one of the deadliest substances in the known galaxy, a neurotoxic compound so potent that merely opening the container in an enclosed space could be fatal to most species. "Place it in security containment," I ordered. "No one touch it." "Is that alcohol?" Jackson asked, peering at the ornate flask with interest. "No, Lieutenant, it's," I began, but Jackson had already reached for it. "Smells interesting," he said, unscrewing the cap before anyone could react. Panic erupted. Officers scrambled toward the exits. Klon activated the emergency ventilation system. Dr. Vexil frantically prepared an antitoxin hypo-injector. And Lieutenant Jackson, apparently oblivious to the chaos, tilted his head back and drank directly from the flask. "Jackson, no," I shouted, certain I was witnessing the gruesome death of humanity's first representative in our fleet. The room froze in horror as the human drained the last drop, then lowered the flask with a satisfied sigh. "Man, I was so thirsty," he muttered, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. "Tastes like tequila mixed with mouthwash and bad decisions. Got any more?" Dr. Vexil's diagnostic scanner clattered to the floor. "Impossible," she whispered. "Your nervous system should be completely shut down." Jackson looked around at our stunned faces, realization dawning. "Wait, was that not for drinking?" "Lieutenant," I said carefully, "you just consumed enough Toxel to kill everyone on this deck. How do you feel?" He considered this, then shrugged. "Little tingly. Might give me heartburn later." Later, after confirming that Jackson was indeed suffering no ill effects beyond mild indigestion, I updated my log. Central Command's briefing severely understated human biological resilience. Their enzyme systems apparently neutralize compounds lethal to most sentient life. Further, they seem genuinely unaware of their extraordinary toxin resistance. Lieutenant Jackson apologized profusely for the misunderstanding, explaining he thought the Toxel was something called alien booze. I've ordered comprehensive testing of human biochemistry, with special attention to their digestive capabilities. In the meantime, all toxic substances aboard the Starsong have been relabeled with explicit warnings, not for human consumption, no matter how thirsty you are. On the positive side, Lieutenant Jackson has volunteered to serve as our hazardous materials handler. As he put it, might as well make my weird metabolism useful. I'm beginning to understand why Central Command was so eager to integrate humans into our crews. I just wish they'd been more forthcoming about exactly why.